Today, I'm going to show you how to do a major block in with the major shapes on a landscape, plein air, and so you get the light and the color. And then afterwards, I'm going to show you how to get exquisite details once you get back in the studio or while you're still out in the field. I do this in this process, Eric, because over the years I noticed that my paintings in the field either get washed out or they get too dark and gray. So I had this approach of major shapes in order to get to avoid that mistake, which we've all made, and so I can go straight to the colors that I need with subtleties. So the major shape block in gives me all the advantages of good color, good value, and not muddying up my painting, which we've all struggled with. As you
Yeah,
can relate.
we oftentimes end up in middle values, right?
Yeah.
Things don't seem very dramatic because it's all middle values. The other thing that happens is I notice anytime I have a problem with a painting, and I was working on a big one this weekend, and I've been struggling with that painting. I've been working on it for a year, and finally I just got mad and started scrubbing in a bunch of color in an area that I didn't like, kind of to cover it. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, it got better. And it's because all of a sudden it was just like two or three big shapes. And what I find is that the more complicated, more complex a painting is, sometimes it doesn't read well. You get those big shapes in it, just kind of like everything reads so well.
Absolutely. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. And I keep making when I'm out painting is, we all are in love with the details, but unless they're sitting on a really secure and solid foundation, you have these details that fall apart, or you have these tiny moments, but the big painting doesn't hold together.
I was out painting with a group of people a couple weekends ago, and there's this guy, and he's painting this tree, and he's putting it's a white canvas, and he's putting every leaf in. And I walked up to him. I said, "Do you mind if I give you some feedback?" And he said, well, what else could he say, right? And I said, "Can I have your brush? Do you mind if I paint on your canvas?" He says, "No." And I just took it. It took all that work he'd done, and I just made a great big shape, just a big shape. And I said, "Now put the leaves on." And
Yeah.
he was a little bit disturbed at first, but then it was like the light went off. It's like you got to build that foundation. You're going to show us how to do that today.
Yes. And the second thing I'm going to do, Eric, I'm going to show you that. And then we've all done these wonderful sketches in the field, and then the light changes or we have to go, right? And we've got this painting that's 3/4 of the way finished. We get to the studio and we're like, oh, I wish I would have captured the whole thing. So what I'm going to do today is do the major shape demo. And then after, I'll take it down. And I did this larger painting behind me from my plein air, and I'm going to show you these quick details just from memory, little secrets of how to add them that'll make it pop when you get back to the studio, if you wish, from memory.
Oh, terrific. Okay, well, let's get the show started.
So this is a part of a larger painting, and let's imagine we're out plein air right now. We have our our panel here, and what I'm going to do right now, if this is the scene we're looking at, we're going to paint it right now here on this panel, okay? And I'll do it from memory, like from what's going on behind there. All right. Now, again, big shapes. And I don't cross mix my darks and lights in order to not get muddy.
Okay. So and do you always tone your canvases yellow like that?
No. And that's a great question. I'm going to show you a little thing, Eric. Sometimes I'll have my canvases like this, where this is my sky and this is my darker foreground. So I'm already working on, dark and light automatically. So there's different canvases and different ways I prepare the canvas, which I'll get to at the plein air convention. I have plenty of samples there.
Oh, that's right. You're on the main stage, and you're going to do a little something very special.
Yeah, I'm going to show you how to prepare all the underpaintings here, like the washes. So when you go do sunsets, you're not chasing the sun. Your panel is already ahead of the sun. It's 5 minutes before the sun gets there. And you can get all things in very quickly, which is how I do my sunset studies.
All right.
Yeah, peek behind the curtain. So let's dive right in. Sound good, Eric?
Yep.
All right. So here's the panel. It's dry here. We do the sky, and then we have this green, and we have this dark blue. I'm going to start with the major shapes, and it's going to look very Mark Rothko-esque. I don't know if you know the abstract painter Mark Rothko,
Oh yeah.
but it's going to look very Rothko-esque, where it's just these big color fields that I'm going to work off of. All right. Here we go. Mixing it in. And what I love about choosing the right brushes and everything is this big, large 18, it gives the sense of wispy clouds, rather than a liner. So as I apply it, I'm doing this, right? There we go. Now, this will be funny here. I'll do another one over here. And then we're coming in over here under the radar. So I'm getting these, you'll notice I'm starting with these purplish, grayish clouds first and not using whites, any of the white lights of the sky, which kind of breaks the rule to paint all the way back up front.
So the yellow's coming through. That makes it really feel warm.
Yes, you got it. See? I love those subtleties, Eric. These, with these yellows come through, and now it looks like the clouds are floating around. Now, in order not to get anything muddy, I'm going to go straight into my blue, just cleaning the brush, actually using a different brush. I'm going to go into the blue, right? And I'm not going to cross the swords. I'm going to be careful to not mix those two, all right?
What kind of blue are you using in that? It's white plus.
Yeah, this is ultramarine blue, which I usually don't use in the sky, but I wanted to use it this time because when you're out painting, sometimes you don't have all the fancy blues, So this is an ultramarine blue mixed with burnt sienna to tone it down, and white. Yeah, a little bit of white. There you go. Now, right here towards the horizon, I am going to go to a lighter blue with a little bit of orange in it. See that orange? Because the blue, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit more. It gets a little oranger at the bottom. For whatever reason, sometimes on these types of days. And the sun is behind my shoulder, over my shoulder here. Okay, that's the major shape there. Okay, I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and I go onto my greens down here.
Oh,
also, Eric,
see, I think a lot of people just need to look at that and say, hey, I need courage. You just jumped right in and got it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Just go. I mean, it does help also, Eric, to have these colors pre-mixed. So when I go do my plein air, I will take 10 minutes and just mix up a bunch of colors I think I'm going to be using. That way I spend more time painting here and less time painting here. Right? All right, so here we go. Now those are two brushes I use that have a lot of white on them. Put those away. Don't touch them. Get another set for your darks. Don't cross your swords. Don't try to use one brush for everything.
Question from the comments is, what kind of brushes are those?
These are the Utrecht Filberts. This is a 239 Filbert. It's a mixed synthetic brush. And I use these for plein air because they're not super expensive. And if you get lost or destroyed or run over by a truck in the field, you're not weeping all the way to the bank.
Well, if you had an easel brush clip, then you wouldn't be dropping them, so trucks would run over them.
That's true. That is a good point. I usually lose things on the way to the car. Actually, I'm like you. I'm a klutz, like you were saying earlier today.
Yeah,
I'm Klutzville. All right, so here we go.
You're laying in the trees in the background, which are a lot darker than I would have assumed you would lay them in.
Yeah. You'll see why in 2 seconds, because I want to get the rich color in. Here we are. And notice I'm leaving a gap here, right?
Yeah.
Because we'll get back to that. Okay. There we go. There's my trees, darker than you would expect, because afterwards I lighten them up with this orangish sky right here. Now they're receding a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And people say, oh, oil paints, man, they dry so slow. It's such a pain. But we're going to use that to our advantage in a second. All right, so that's done. I'm done there. No more.
Right.
Don't touch it. All right.
I won't
and what
touch
we got? Don't touch it. What's that We got what, 5 minutes worth of painting so far?
Oh
Right?
yeah, it's just taking no time at all.
Yeah, look at that. Now I'm going to go with this super dark here.
Are
It's
you
an
using the
indigo.
same brush?
Different brush.
Okay.
Different brush again.
So
Yeah,
you use a different brush for every base color?
when I do this, yes. Because that way it's all broken up clearly,
Right, you're not going to get the mud.
I'm not getting mud. And this is how you keep your colors fresh and clean right from the start.
That looks like Prussian blue.
It's an indigo.
Indigo.
Yeah, it's an indigo. Here, I'll show you. It's this guy.
I believe you.
Yeah. Which is it's very close to the Prussian. And I like, but you can use Prussian on these dark waters. It's a good choice as well. All right, here we go. Nice and dark. Now, one thing I'm shooting for right now, Eric, is I'm setting up really dynamic contrast between these dark up front, right? And the subtle value compression in the sky. It makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not using much turpentine or anything on my brush right now because I don't want it to run and I don't want it to be sloppy wet. I'm just letting the meeting of the medium within the paint do the work for me. All right, here we go. And on the bottom, super dark.
Don't get it on the other painting.
Oh, I always do, I always do that, and I'm fine with it because I say if I can't fix my mistakes, then I can't make a great painting. So I don't mind fixing mistakes. All right, so there we go. Okay, we're all good.
We're good.
How do we solve these gaps?
All
That's
right.
when you here's a wonderful technique, and this is how you keep things from getting muddy. You take a dry brush, an old one that needs a haircut or whatever you would call it. You take a dry brush and you go along your edges and ba-boom.
Ba-boom.
Look at that. You sew them together, right? And that does a couple things. That gives you a variety of edges, which you want to have on any painting, a nice variety of edges. Okay, look at that. Oh, I love that.
Love it.
I love it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
You're so enthusiastic. You're not putting any paint on that brush. You're just blending the two.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so exciting. I mean, I love this stuff, Eric, because
you need to get out more.
Now, I do notice that there's a gap here between the colors, but we can fix that easily. All right. In a minute, though.
Well, it just looks like light hitting the cloud, actually.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into that. That's a good point. Because this painting behind it has that happening. All right. So here we go. Softening my edges. Boom. Now we're really in Mark Rothko territory, right? Okay. Now the clouds have just been pushed back. We have the sfumato from Da Vinci hanging out here, right?
What is a sfumato?
I don't know. Sfumato is the soft, smoky edges between objects on borders. I'm gonna do the same down here. Okay. And that gives me
leaving a little of that yellow feel kind of creates a little bit of horizon-ish distance feel.
Yeah. It also gives me like an edge on the trees for when I start doing this.
Yeah.
Now I got trees going on in there. We'll get back to that. I'm getting ahead of myself.
All right.
And then finally, this guy. Now I did add a little bit of terp under the brush this time.
Okay? Because
this one isn't as precious. These transitions are really precious because of the compressed values, and this isn't as precious because the values are much darker. And from my experience, I get away with much more leeway with darker values than light values.
Can you explain to everybody what compressed values means?
Yes. So here I have something. Hold on, right here in my studio for that.
All right.
This is. Haha. See my awesome value scale. So this is a full value from dark to light, right?
Yeah.
Okay. if I'm going to compress the values, I take these off the scale and I'm painting within these compressed values here, like these three.
Yeah.
Well, if I really want to be compressed, I'll paint within these two value ranges right here, which is basically what's happening in the sky here.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Whereas,
and why do you want to do that?
okay, in landscape painting, the more compressed the value, light value, the more compressed you're painting up here, the further it goes, the further in the distance the objects appear.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So it's creating distance.
It creates distance, it creates atmosphere, like clouds and sky, and it creates a distance when you compress lightly like that. Then when you do
Ah,
contrast, you have the light, and then now you have a jump in values between these two. All of a sudden, that looks like it's going behind the trees, and this is standing up in front of it. And
yeah.
that's because of the contrast partially.
Good
Sound
tip.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's good. As long as you know what value range you're working in, it really helps you guide the whole painting.
So it's good to think about that in advance. I think one of the things we tend to do is look up at a cloud and see how dark it is and then put it in, and then it's really too dark. It doesn't feel like distance.
Exactly. And it's all because of the values itself. Now let me go back here. Whoa, drop my values. Oh no. All right, now I did this. I'm going with the smaller brush. I'm doing the same thing, and I'm breaking up this edge a little more.
It looks like it's slightly darker, is it? No?
It is. It is slightly darker. Yes. Because these clouds I'm going to put them a little closer up front here, as if they're floating a little lower, And I can add a little yellow and white to them. There we go. Oh, still not enough. There we go. Okay. And maybe a cloud back here. That guy needs to be much lighter.
Further back, lighter.
Yeah, further back, lighter. And this is just.
I try to translate for our listeners, because we have people who are all over the map, from never painted before in their life and just beginning, or people who are experienced. So you never know. And by the way, some of these things that you're even teaching about, I'm not so sure I even knew about compressed values in the sky, for instance. You would think, but nope.
Right.
I'm sure I saw it on your video, but I didn't remember it for whatever reason.
Yeah. There's so much to remember, right? There's so much to keep in mind. So much. So now I take a dry brush again and pull that in. Now, you mentioned that it looked like the light was hitting the top of the cloud over here earlier, right?
Yeah.
Well, now let's take advantage of that. Okay. So these are the clouds. This is the base of the clouds. Now let's add this. Can you see this light here?
Yeah.
So this is the mix up here. I did the colors here, this orange, this pinkish orange. And that's what goes on the front of the cloud. It's too dark.
So Carlson, in his landscape painting book, talks about creating form in trees. I wonder if the same principle applies in clouds. As he would say, make it really hot in the center, and then it's almost like you're painting a ball.
Yeah.
More chroma in the center, and then it kind of gets a little darker and so on as it goes out.
Exactly. Right here. You're talking about that right there. Yeah. More light and chroma in the center, and then as it goes out, it fades into the neutral.
Yeah. I'm rereading that book right now.
It's a great book. Great book.
It's about the third time.
The other thing you want to know is that the clouds up here, the higher they are, the more yellow they are. And then as you get closer to the horizon, closer to the horizon, they start going a little more pink.
Why is that?
It's go figure.
You got to pay attention. You got to look for those things.
Yeah. When I drive in my car, I look at the clouds in the sky and I ask myself, okay, is that more yellow or more pink from the ones in the top of the sky? And I've found over the years that it's pinker.
Are you one of those guys that takes pictures while you're driving?
No.
I am.
Really? Oh my God. No, I don't want to wreck. So here we are. Now we got, that's too pink. Way too much pink. So how much time have we been on this? We haven't been on this that long, right?
No, we can take another 20.
All right. I just want to see, I want to show you how much you can get of the detail and the big shapes really simply. So now I got these clouds. They're floating in the sky back there. This is dried up here a little bit, so I'm going to go back in. Now you'll notice this is way too cool, right? It's too bluish. So take a little bit of that yellow ochre and cheat it. Cheat it right in. Yeah.
So you didn't even bother to mix it on the palette. You just laid it in.
Yeah, because when you're doing clouds, you know, especially out in the field, they're so wispy that you can get away with that. All right, so these have got clouds. These clouds have light hitting them. I'm going to do what you said and get some of this. That's Naples yellow, by the way. It's not any high chroma yellow. If it's too high chroma, it just blows off it just blows it off the canvas. There we go. There we are. Boom. And the pink. All right. I'm going to leave the clouds alone for a bit now.
All right.
And I'm going to show you this ridge line. And you'll see, Eric, I'm doing here, first pass, second pass, and then third pass. I'm going to show you how to do some details right now on this section, and then rock and roll from there. Now, this has only been a half hour worth of painting, which shows you how much you can get in such a short period of time in the field. So with the edge lines on these trees, I get again another brush it's dry brush, and it's kind of flaked out on the end. The brush is not a nice sharp brush, and I'll get the color I want, which is this guy here, get a liberal amount, and then I'm going to dance on the edge here. And it looks like there's a bunch of details going on, but it's not. It's just the brush doing the work for me. Make sense?
Yeah, you have to be really careful, everybody, about patterns when you're doing something like that. You know, if you have, you need a lot of variety. Otherwise, if things stack up and they look side by side too perfect, then it's not going to read well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one thing I look for, Eric, on these. You know, after I put my first pass here, I always go, okay, where did I mess up on, and put a big obvious pattern in, you know, because it just happens over and over.
Oh, it's so easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, those two on the right, all the way to the right, they're exactly the same. That's a great example.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. You got a little camel hanging out at the edge of my painting there, you know? And I don't want that. I want the center of interest to be like more right here. All right. On this side. Now I put the dark first because I'm going to come over with this light as if the light was landing on the tops of the trees, which we've all seen in the evening. And it creates this beautiful lighted area of trees and then darkened area. Right.
I find that one of the hardest things to paint, that sense of that bright, brilliant afternoon light on top of the cool trees. But, you know, the light just came on for me when you did it this way.
Yeah. And part of that is to keep it separate. Like I was saying, you know, to really separate. Now you see how it's starting to illuminate there, right?
Yep.
And that's all on my second pass, but I will show you a little section here, how to keep taking it forward, Eric, which is I took oleo pastel, you know, which is it's a thickening medium, and it's a quick drying, and I thickened the paint up and I put it on the edge of a little guy here, and I'm going to do this. Okay. So now this guy, that's too much. So give me a second here. Now these are the tree trunks that are getting lit up in the light over there.
Huh.
Yeah. And which we always see, you know, just, it's going to look sloppy and ugly a little bit, but just hang out with me here for a second.
I don't think it's possible for you to do anything sloppy and ugly. Just saying.
Thank you. Thank you. There we go. Okay. Now this is just setting up psychologically. Our mind thinks in, as you said over here with the camel humps, it thinks in patterns. So this is setting up an imaginary pattern that I'm going to break up here in a second. Okay, like these, let's say these are where those white tree trunks that get lit up at the end of the day. Okay, they're boom. So they're kind of, then you just go back in selectively. I'll do it right now.
So you put the oleo gel in there to thicken the paint so it sticks better?
Yeah, so it just sticks on the thing. And then I just go in and add a little, we start doing some sideways guys here. You know, as if they're going crossways. And just break it up a little bit. Sorry, I'll show you what I'm doing with this here. So I'm getting it like that. I'm rolling it on. And then I can go sideways and I roll also. And these sideways guys start fooling our eyes also, as if it's not just one bunch of straight up and down trees. Okay. Boom. There we go.
Boom.
And the same with that you said with those clouds, Eric.
Yeah.
Now I got that. Same thing you said with the clouds. I'm going to go back on here, and the center is light and more orange, and then the backside is more darker and green. Right.
All right.
So here we go. And now here's we get the right value.
That's why we do test shots.
Yeah. Here we go. Test shots.
Yeah, well, you just lay it on, and if it's not the right color, you come back and fix it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now that's the end for this pass on that. And then the other thing I would do to give it more oomph is I got to have some pine trees back here. Okay. I got to have some evergreens, and they're always poking around, you know, breaking through, causing havoc and creating light and dark patterns, you know, like this going down into the darkness. You know, well, I'll light one up. I took a value down there, and I'll put one way back here that's poking out and doing something back there behind those trees. All right. Like that. Go back to my dark guy. He's going to be here. So you can just add some of these dark guys in, and they start creating this layered effect in this area.
Yeah, makes it feel three-dimensional and makes it feel, you can see this sense of distance behind those trees.
Exactly. So that's a small little example. And if I was doing plein air, I would really focus in on this at the very end and get this right. Then I could finish it over here at, you know, any time of the week.
All right. So in other words, you put a little piece down so you can remember it, and then the rest you can come back in later.
Exactly. It's like a reference. Then I can just, you know, all right. And then we have this area here, this transition, which is a grayish brown. Now I got this by mixing burnt umber with ultramarine blue and white. And this is where the land meets the water. Okay. Nice and great. So that's why I wasn't worried about that transition too much.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Good. There we are. Boom. Now that's setting. And then the last part with this, I need to put some dark pockets in here as if the, you know, the trees are going into the background a little bit. So I'm gonna put some dark pockets in there as if, and it's the same technique over and over. Eric, watch. I'm gonna put it in. Okay. One more thing here. I'll get it in. And then with a nice dry brush, just going to go back in and soften it up a little bit. And that gives me that variety. All right, good. Now we have the beginnings of the feel that, you know, the light's hitting on the top of the trees there, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. I do, because I'm somewhat compulsive, have to make this darker. and just more cooler. There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Now it's not drawing the eye as much.
Exactly. Now let's get to the water here, okay?
Right. I'm anxious to see that. That's always a hard one.
It is, isn't it? Well, this is the step, and I actually go over it in the DVD with water, and also in the book, which is you start with the darkest color, the bottom of the water, and then you move yourself up to the surface. If you start with the white, your colors are going to be way too light by the end. You can't
Yeah.
get back dark. So that's where you start. So let's do this one. I need a specific brush for this. And I'm going to use some liquid. I'll show you this. I'll use some liquid original. Okay. And
Now, why would you use that versus using the oleo gel?
so the oleo gel thickens the paint and makes it so it clumps up. It clumps up on the canvas.
Okay.
The liquid makes it more fluid, so it just flows more. You know,
Right.
so it has the opposite effect in regards to how easy it allows the paint to go on the painting. The flow of the paint, I guess, is what it would be called. So now this is way too light. Way too light. Darken it up. And this is a green in there. Okay. And it's also a little too bluish and too fake, too much chroma. Too much blue chroma going on.
That's a tendency that's hard to overcome.
Yeah. You want to save your highlights and your high chroma for your last pass, for your last moment. That's at least my opinion. Okay, I like this guy. Now I'm going to take some of the liquid. This is the liquid. Mix it in here.
Don't need much.
Don't need much because it just keeps spreading out, when you do it. And then I'm going to take this brush, and hopefully I got the right one. There's a couple of them I have here in the studio. Let's see. Yeah, this one's good. No, here's a better one. They're the same brush, but you see how I cut the bristles off one of them?
Uh-huh.
And that gives me just one line that I'm working with rather than a big thick line.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
All right. It's a tense moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, I'm nervous. I'm shaking. All right. So here we go.
Very light touch.
Oh, yeah. Just keep it light. Exactly. All right. That's the first little part of it. Okay.
All right.
Real simple. And then I'm going to go again. But before I do, I'm going to seam up this line here. There.
Right.
Okay. Here we are. Getting it on the edge of the brush, pulling it up here, top. All right. Now, the other thing about reflection, this is my like light bluish reflection. See how that looks in the, okay. I'm going to lighten it up even more now. But I'm going to surprise you here. It's not going to go where you think it is. Here's the blue, to blue. Bring the chroma down. All right, here we go.
It's a tense moment.
There's another second tense moment here.
Yep.
Here we are. All right.
Okay.
Now I'm going to take smaller portion. I didn't put paint on the whole thing this time, just part of it. Like that. All right.
All right.
And I'm literally shaking my hand as I put it on a little bit, right?
Oh, I just thought you were getting old.
Oh my God, that's great. And I'm getting old, therefore I'm shaking. And this is my so you can't do this until you get old, right? Is that what it is? All right, so here we go. Now, see, this is right on top of that dark I put on earlier, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about these little spots. We'll get to those in a second. I'm just putting down a pattern because our eyes, they really see in patterns very often, you know. And when they recognize a pattern, now I just shifted the brush on its side there a little bit.
All right.
So I'm getting patterns and textures. Now, clean that brush off and go here.
What?
What? I know. Let me see if I can get, I don't know if I have enough on the, I don't have enough on the palette, so I got to make it up again. Yellow ochre, cadmium orange. For those that are listening, yellow ochre, cadmium orange, sap green. Ta-da! And
So that's going to be reflected light from the trees?
Yeah, you got it. There. So we got reflected light going on. Oh, I almost forgot my liquid. How dare you forget your liquid? Cleaning off the brush. Test run here. Good.
Very subtle.
Yeah, you don't want to go. I mean, it's like petting a baby swan, as my wife would say, when you're painting, like really soft. All right, hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, now, this is going to be funny here. Take this guy.
Like chalk on fingernails on a chalkboard.
Yes, exactly. Good. Now I got my like diffused pattern here going on. And again, like I said, I would do this section really, you know, in the field, and I could finish this up anytime later. Oh, look at that mistake. Good. Now I take this brush.
All right.
And I go back to my blue because this light up here is going to be reflecting here much, much more intensely.
You don't need to put liquid on that one?
No, no. Oh, wait a minute. This one has the liquid in it already. Remember the water you saw earlier today on the big painting back here?
Yeah.
This is how I did it. This is how I would do it in the field to make my notes like this.
Well, it's going to be cool is you're going to be at the Plein Air convention. You're going to be out painting in the field, and you're also going to be helping people that are struggling. We don't have any water to paint, but we have a lot of adobe buildings and red rocks.
Wonderful. I do a whole, I'll be out there painting with you, everybody. And I look forward to being there. And you can paint right along next to me, and we can do all the techniques together, and I can show you where you're making the mistakes. And I can also kind of cherry pick off of what you do better than me and put it on my own painting. There. Okay. So you see the front water there?
Yeah. Very convincing.
Right. It's getting good.
All right.
All right. Now, how much time do I have?
Not much.
Okay. What do you want me to do here?
You got 3 minutes. Pick and choose.
Okay. I tell you what, I got it. Hold tight. I do want to get some of these things going. And this has the liquid on it also.
Pretty impressive painting that you've done here in this short period of time.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, right?
Yeah. Now, Albert Handel says there are two kinds of outdoor painters. He said there are plein air painters and there are studio painters who paint studio paintings outdoors. Which are you?
Wow. On Tuesday, I'm a studio painter that paints studio paintings outdoors. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, I'm a plein air painter. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like to switch it up. I'll show you why. Because, this is like, that's plein air in the snow, right?
Yeah.
And this is a plein air sunset that I haven't finished. I'll go back out on the Hudson and finish that.
Right.
But I honestly, not to joke with him, I think I'm a studio painter that loves to plein air paint. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't put the pressure of myself to try to get like some awesome painting in the field. I mean, I do it sometimes, but I don't put that pressure on me. I love painting. And
well, the goal is to get at least to get a study, a reminder that you can bring back into the studio and do bigger paintings. It doesn't necessarily have to be a finished piece.
Exactly. That's how I think that's how I would approach it. Oops.
Yeah.
So here we are. I know that translated quickly. That's how this got started.
Ta-da.
Did we go back to the beginning? Look how far that got.
Yeah,
Eric? You
did really well. So it on your big studio painting, your clouds are obviously a lot softer. What would you do to that? You probably have to wait till it dries, or what would you do to make those clouds feel softer? The ones on your plein air piece.
On these guys here?
Yeah. Because those, see the difference in softness? I mean, just feels like, because you're seeing some of the underpainting coming through.
Yeah. So on this plein air piece, like the harshness here, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the occasions I would go back with this. I'll show you. I'll even do it. I go back to the sky, the blue, and now I go back with the blue.
Oh.
You see, now I can do it without it getting, without it mixing too much, because I already got a dried field behind it.
Yeah.
So I just go back with the blue and soften out whatever. I can even, this is great. I love this. I can even dig into this guy a little bit. You see?
All right. Yeah.
And that gives it a whole nother shape. Is that helpful? Does that answer your question, Eric? Is that helpful?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And let's go back with the blue now. Yeah.
All right. Well, Ken, why don't you come back on camera real quickly so we can say goodbye?
Absolutely. Hold on me.
All right.
Reverse the direction.
All right.
Yes.
There he is. Well, Ken, thank you so much. So tell me what you're going to do at the Plein Air Convention.
Plein Air Convention, I'm going to show you how to prepare canvas or your canvas to do sunsets in a real quick way that doesn't get all muddy and it has plenty of light in it.
Okay, good. And we'll have plenty of sunset opportunities too.
Yeah.
Incredible New Mexico sunsets.
Yeah, they're brilliant out there. The sky is amazing. So that's why I wanted to do a demo of those.
Great. Okay, well, Ken's going to be on main stage at the Plein Air Convention. And that means if you can't make it to the convention, if you go to the online convention, we have it, the main stage is broadcast online. You can watch it there as well. So that'll be a really good opportunity. But come in person if you possibly can. Ken, thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
We have put Ken's website in the comments section. We also have put a link to Ken's video, but you can search it on painttube.tv. Just search Ken's name, Salaz, and you'll find it and you can pop it up. That's really great video. It's good lessons in that. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate everything. All right.
See you in a week.